Now, he does this all the time. What are we to make of this? The Democrat Party and the Democrat Party press and their supporters would have you laugh it off. Oh, that's just Joe. Well, the problem is it is just Joe. And it's getting worse. Now, I said to you, I'm going to make out the dangerous case of Joe Biden. Now, what you may have forgotten, that's the title of a book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, written by Bandy Lee, M.D., Yale College. 27 psychiatrists and mental health experts assess a president. Now, how come we don't have 27 psychiatrists and mental health experts assessing a presidential candidate who clearly is not mentally fit for the job? And we have every right to discuss this because it's our country and he wants to be the president of the United States. This is a grueling job. As you know, I cited this book in my book, and I had Ms. Lee on this program. She sounded like a buffoon, with all due respect. And in the end, the epilogue, they say, among other things, there are two huge dangers that the human species face. We're in a situation where we need to decide whether the species survives in any decent form. One is the rising danger of nuclear war, which is quite serious, and the other is environmental catastrophe. She said Trump wants to virtually eliminate the EPA, which of course is absurd. Richard Nixon's legacy to cut back regulations and race toward the precipice as quickly as possible. So you can see these psychiatrists and psychologists, they were using their degrees and their positions to advance a radical left agenda. On militarism, he wants to raise the military budget, already over half of discretionary spending, leading right now to confrontations which could be extremely hazardous. And they go on, commenting about the president's mental health. Now, this woman, Bandy Lee, organizer of the Yale Duty to Warn Conference, was all over CNN, all over MSNBC, all over Capitol Hill. She wrote this book, was published by St. Martin's Press, a huge publisher. She was taken seriously. She was given media platform after media platform. And very few of us said anything. I spoke out loudly against this. I actually went through the book with you. I actually brought her on the air and confronted her. And her farcical comments. Now I and you are being told, don't discuss Joe Biden's mental health. Not just on MSNBC and CNN, but even on Fox. Don't discuss it. Don't discuss whether he has early stages of dementia. And I'm thinking to myself, when Ronald Reagan was running for president, he was 69 years old, and they attacked his mental stability. They did the same thing. They said that he was a danger with a button, that he might create nuclear war, that he wasn't with it, that he wasn't all there. He was 69. Joe Biden's 77. And we're told that this isn't a legitimate area to discuss and to look at. Now, we don't need to take our lead from these phony reporters, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need to take our lead from the DNC, the guests on TV, the consultants, the paid and hired mouthpieces. We're the citizenry. I know we're not all recent immigrants, but we're the citizenry. We own this country. We own this government. We own the office of the presidency. And I'll be damned if I'm going to listen to this guy mumble through a statement, a simple statement, confuse his wife with his sister, and on and on and on, and not raise the specter that the Democrat Party is circling the wagons around a man who is not mentally capable of being president of the United States any more than a figurehead. Any more than a figurehead. And they know it, and we know it. There needs to be some kind of an objective, honest examination, maybe by a third party of a handful of experts to look at this. And for the left, of course, they'll throw up, well, what about Trump? Nothing to do with Trump. This has nothing to do with Trump. They don't like Trump. They don't agree with his policies. They don't like the way he talks. But he's sharp as can be. This guy, like his policies or not, Biden, he's a dim bulb. And by the way, if I were the president's people, I'd be recommending that he have 5, 6, 7 debates with Joe Biden. Should Joe Biden be the nominee, I might add. Have 5, 6, 7 debates with him. Insist on it. One-on-one. 90 minutes at a time. 5, 6, 7 debates. The Democrat Party is behind Joe Biden now because none of their other candidates were sufficiently popular with their voters to take on Bernie Sanders. This is a fact. I'm not rooting for this one way or another. I'm just explaining it. The reason the Democrat Party fears Bernie Sanders is not his crackpot ideology, because they share most of it. It's because he doesn't embrace all their big city leaders, all their PACs, and all the rest of it. He's a true blue Marxist. Well, they don't mind the Marxist ideology, but they do mind the fact that they want to hold on to power. So it's like a fight between the Trotskyites and the Stalinists. And Bernie, at least in this battle, I'd say he's very Stalinist, but at least in this example I'm giving, he's the Trotskyite. And the Stalinists feel threatened by the Trotskyite. Fine. I can't stand either. But the idea that they're now rallying around Joe Biden, this Kamala Harris is a complete sellout. She'll do anything to be vice president of the United States because she knows that leads to the presidency. And she may well get there if Biden, in terms of nomination, I mean, if Biden is the nominee. Cory Booker. Can you imagine those two on stage, Mr. Producer? Cory Booker and Biden kind of yelling all the time? Biden just kind of yelling, howling just because he can, and Cory Booker screaming at the top of it. Whoa, baby. Would that be interesting? But there's no book on Joe Biden's mental status by 27 psychiatrists and mental health experts. And if there were such a book, do you think they'd get anywhere on cable TV? Other than my show, of course. You think they'd make it anywhere? What do you think they'd say about these 27 psychiatrists and mental health experts? They'd go after them. They'd try to destroy them. You think there's a publisher that would publish that book? No, they destroy the publisher. It's all one-way street. And yet Donald Trump's got no psychiatric issues. None. None, based on what we can see and hear and all the rest. Joe Biden is a perfect experiment in psychiatric issues as far as I'm concerned. But the same hosts on CNN, the same hosts on MSNBC that were attacking the President of the United States, lies about his mental acumen, using Bandy Lee among others. Lies. Won't say a word about Joe Biden. Because that's who they've got, like it or not. It's Joe Biden. And the president has said something that's very prescient. God forbid if Joe Biden's elected president. He won't be in charge of this government. No way in hell. Leftists, many of them working for Obama in the past, they'll be in charge of the government. And there was something in Axios today which Joe Biden and his surrogates have absolutely rejected, as they must. Something in Axios today. Axios, whatever the hell it's called. It's a left-wing site. And they say they have access to confidants who are privately discussing potential leaders and cabinet members for the White House. John Kerry, Susan Rice, Sally Yates, Mike Bloomberg, Elizabeth Warren. Who else? Then they speculate. Buttigieg. Then you have Ron Klain, this reprobate. He was put in charge of Ebola. The vice president's chief of staff. They don't mention Anita Dunn, who they got rid of even in the Obama administration. And others. Hardcore leftists. Again, many of whom worked in the Obama administration. As Joe did. So that's what you have to look forward to. And the media love it. They would love nothing more than to see these people back. They want these people back. So they're going to cover up for Biden the way they covered up for Obama and his links to domestic terrorists, the way they covered up for Hillary Clinton. Some things they had to report, but in the end they covered up for. The way they're covering up now for Sanders and his long, deep, grotesque Marxist background and his anti-Semitic surrogates. And then they'll tell you, you're not allowed to discuss this stuff. You mustn't discuss Joe Biden's mental health. It cannot be an issue. This is a lecture. If it wasn't good, the dangerous case of Donald Trump, when Bandy Lee did it, it's not how this works. They were concocting an issue with Trump. Just like they concoct so many issues with Trump. They create these lies, these pseudo events, and then they take on a life of their own. Joe Biden is in front of us, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need interpreters. We don't need explanations. We don't need spin. We see him and we hear him, and something is wrong. Something is wrong. But that's their guy, to defeat Sanders, and they hope to defeat Trump. And so now they're going to lie and spin and counterattack. Because that's what they do. The coverage by the Media Research Center and their groups has been fantastic. The coverage by the media has been disgusting. Luckily, the team at Newsbusters and the rest of the MRC are there to expose the media's dishonesty, make sure the American people get the truth. That's why we call the MRC America's Media Watchdog. That's what I thought. Go to mrclevin.org, not com. mrclevin.org. One more time, and please check it out. That's MRC Levin, MRCLE.